angles has a problem. He needs to earn the respect of his peers. So he gets the special Sega Genesis fighting system. It comes with Streets of Rage 2. He saves $40. He gets more moves. He gets more control. Now things are pretty much okay.
I said chocolate chip. Say it. Say it.
Sega! Welcome back to Classic Gaming Quarterly TV. This is episode 10 and we're officially in double digits. If I was going to talk about my favorite video game console of all time, the Sega Genesis would definitely be on my shortlist. It's also home to one of my favorite video game franchises of all time, Streets of Rage. So today, in commemoration of 10 episodes, we're doing something so awesome that you might not want to look directly at your computer screen. Known as Bare Knuckle in Japan, Streets of Rage was released in 1991 and was subsequently ported into Asian and European arcades on Sega's Megaplay platform. The game offers 3 playable characters, and as is the case with most early beat-em-ups, they differ only in strength and speed. On top of normal kicks and punches, you can also use a special attack that summons a backup unit that pulls up and fires a rocket, killing all the enemies on the screen. This special attack must be used wisely because you only get 1 per level or life. There are also numerous weapons in the game that can be picked up and used by both you and your enemies. These include a metal pipe, baseball bat, gas grenade, knife, and my favorite, the bottle, because after you smash it over someone's head, you can stab them with the broken half that you're still holding. The boilerplate plot involves an evil crime syndicate taking over a city's government and police force, and 3 young cops banding together to take the city back. Although the graphics in Streets of Rage are certainly passable for an early Genesis game, the ocean waves in this level look especially bad. But the awesome parallax scrolling in the background of this level more than makes up for it. Even if you don't like beat-em-up games, this game is worth playing just for the soundtrack. Streets of Rage was scored by prolific video game composer Yuzo Koshiro, who is also known for such titles as Ys, ActRaiser, Revenge of Shinobi, Shenmue, the 8-bit versions of Sonic the Hedgehog, Super Adventure Island, Castlevania Portrait of Ruin, and Super Smash Bros. Brawl, and those are just the highlights. A true Renaissance man, Koshiro even developed his own audio programming language and used it to compose the music for the entire Streets of Rage trilogy. This game kicked off a series that embodied what the Genesis was all about. If you want to play Streets of Rage but don't have a Genesis, not a problem. The game was included on Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection for the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, and is downloadable on the Wii Virtual Console, Xbox Live Arcade, and Steam. Streets of Rage 2 was released in 1992 and again made its way into Asian and European arcades while only being available on the Genesis here in the United States. The game now includes 4 playable characters. Axel and Blaze return from the original game and are joined by the incredibly ripped Max Thunder and Skate, who is Adam's roller skating younger brother. You'll instantly notice the game's eye-poppingly improved graphics paired with clearer sound effects and another awesome soundtrack. There were a few changes to the gameplay. The backup unit special attack has been replaced by individual special moves that cost a small amount of health to employ but are otherwise unlimited. The game also includes secondary special moves that don't cost any health to perform but also don't do as much damage. These special moves are unique to each character and help to create a differing gameplay experience depending on which of them you choose. Although Streets of Rage 2 still includes a number of usable weapons, several of them have been changed for this game. My personal favorite is the metal pipe, as the sound of it impacting an enemy's skull produces one of the most satisfying sound effects I've ever heard. You've gotta love how this bartender just stands there shaking his martini while I trash his bar and beat up his customers, but then makes a quick break for it as soon as I punch this broad in the face. Enemy characters now have both names and health bars, and while the names are little more than meaningless comedic fodder, the health bars are a welcome improvement. I sometimes see people arguing about which of these first two games has the better soundtrack, but they're both so impressive that I don't see the point in trying to rank them. As you can see, this arcade is full of bare-knuckle cabs, and since you can't play them, why not destroy them? Streets of Rage 2 features longer levels, which means a longer overall game, but just like the original Streets of Rage, there's so much variety between levels that the game never gets boring or repetitive. Is Streets of Rage 2 the best Genesis game ever made? Well, that depends on your genre of preference, but you could definitely make a strong case for it. In addition to being included on Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection for the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, and being downloadable on the Xbox Live Arcade, Wii Virtual Console, and Steam, this game is also available on the PlayStation Network. Not available from any of those sources, however, are Classic Gaming Quarterly videos. Streets of Rage 3 was released in 1994, and unlike the previous two installments in the series, it was heavily altered for release outside of Japan. Some of these changes are purely cosmetic, like Axel's yellow shirt and black pants. Probably because of the controversy in 1992 and 93 in the United States over games like Mortal Kombat, other changes were seemingly enacted to make the game more family-friendly. Female characters are more conservatively dressed, and one of the game's mini-bosses, who demonstrates more than one non-PC stereotype about gay men, has been omitted from the game entirely. While Axel, who is always my character of choice, incoherently screamed "Grand Upper" when delivering his signature uppercut in Streets of Rage 2, that soundbite has been replaced by him grunting "Bare Knuckle," which seems odd since that isn't even the name of the game in this region. Perhaps the most disconcerting change was to the game's difficulty level. On normal difficulty, Streets of Rage 3 is harder than Bare Knuckle 3's highest difficulty setting. This is reminiscent of the change that was made to Contra Hardcore when it was released stateside, turning an awesome Japanese game into an unplayable mess for American players. As a quick aside, watch this guy steal my turkey and use it to replenish his own health. If, understandably, you want to play the original Bare Knuckle 3, you have a few options, including selecting the Japanese version if you download the game on Xbox Live Arcade. But if you have a flash cart like the EverDrive, you can actually download a fan-translated version of the game so that all of the text is in English, basically allowing you to play the game as it should have been released here in the first place. The Japanese game actually has a completely different plot, and the opening sequence shows a city being destroyed by a nuclear weapon. I would have thought that it would be a Japanese audience and not an American one that would be sensitive to this type of imagery. The last installment in the series has marginally improved graphics and a soundtrack that's a bit different but still great. The game is also slightly faster paced, and while I didn't feel that Streets of Rage 2 ran slowly, this is still a welcome change. One gameplay change that I don't much care for involves weapons, which now have limited use. They now have their own health meter, which is depleted every time you strike someone or something. This is Ash, the ostensibly gay mini-boss that I mentioned earlier. While I'm not easily offended enough to have a problem with this, I can certainly see why he was left out of the American version of the game. He looks like the cop from The Village People with a purple outfit and high-heel boots on. He jumps around the screen daintily, and he sits on the ground crying after he's defeated. I'm not surprised that it didn't fly then, because it definitely wouldn't fly now. Holding down up and the B button while pressing start at the title screen unlocks this kangaroo as one of the game's 3 hidden playable characters. His only shortcoming is that he can't pick up weapons because he's wearing boxing gloves, and I'm pretty sure kangaroos don't have opposable thumbs. Just like the first 2 games in the series, Bare Knuckle 3 has a huge amount of variety, and while you might get frustrated as the difficulty ramps up, you'll never get bored. Towards the end of the game, you get to fight first outside, then inside the White House. I'm pretty sure this was outlawed after 9/11. The American version of Streets of Rage 3 is available on Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection for the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, and is available for download on Steam, while both the American and Japanese versions are available on Xbox Live Arcade. Neither game is available on the Wii Virtual Console or PlayStation Network.